Good morning, you guys. It is market day. I just dropped my car off and my feet are getting soaked in this grass. But I'm walking back to my spot. I could not film when I first left the house this morning because it was pitch black. And as soon as we're at a farm, in case you couldn't tell. But, oh my gosh, how do I get through without getting muddy? Ugh. Hey, fellas. Fella and lady. So we finally got everything set up. The sun is so bright, but at least everything looks bright and vibrant. So I did not have as much stuff because I sold quite a bit at my last market. So I do have some holes, but it looks a little better, I think, than having everything so smashed together. So I do have this last bit of Halloween fall decor here. And then I was able to hang my garland up here, which I've never done before. It's always just kind of like hanging over one of my plant stands and nobody can really see it. So I hung it up on the tent so people could see it. And then I do have a few little fall things over here. I have like little ghosts and a spider, a pumpkin pie, a little bat, and a crow, which are fuzzies off. I have my little sweater weather duck, and then last little pumpkin topiary there. And then here is my little critters buy 3 get 1 free section. And then all of the stuff in this tin is $10. There's some other little cuties here. And then my mystery box section. I'm obsessed with this checkout stand. I love the way it looks. I need to get some clamps to kind of hold it together better because if someone leans on it, it's gonna crash. But I do love the way it looks. So I'm gonna see if my husband can find some clamps to hold that together better. Here are where I keep my bookmarks, my Kindle covers. These are the last 2. I missed a stitch here, so that is deeply discounted. That was like one of the first ones I ever did, like 3 years ago. So it's got to go. But I have a pumpkin pie over here. I only made 2 this season, and I'm surprised that they didn't sell, but it's okay. I forgot my little stand for that. So I just put everything in a little bin for people to dig through if they wanted to. Shout out to Remy because he's so cute, and my little Amazon dude, his package does come out. So here's this little package, super adorable. And then I have these Yip Yip still. I am still just selling those for $1, trying to get rid of some of this little stuff. So hopefully that goes today because I want to eliminate that completely. I have a few pickles and Pop-Tarts left. Wow, that one's really, there you go, you can see it better now. And then I have some little mini chickens here. They're a little bit too big to put in my buy 3 get 1 free section. You can see the comparison in size. Let's take it over. So it just doesn't really fit. It's a little bit bigger, I guess, than some of these. So I'm just gonna keep them over here with the bigger chickens. And then I do have that extra little sweater teddy back there to break up some of the white that's on the stand. But I have the chickens here. My beautiful little Ruthie cow. She is precious and I love her. And then here's this section over here. I apologize that it's so bright. I'm right in the sun. I only have one little bow turtle left, so I need to make another one. I think that's so cute. And then I have my teacher appreciation bees here. Still have my horses. Both, I did make another one last night. The wind keeps knocking him over, but he does sit on his butt. And then got the Agent P going on. Just a little random stuff over here. I have a few of these left. Reusable water bottle, not reusable water bottles, but reusable water balloons. And so that's what it's looking like, guys. I'm on a hill. It is so wild how this looks. You could see right there, it sinks in really deep. So hopefully people would be very careful. I should have put my rug out, but I thought that would make it even more lumpy, I guess. I didn't want someone to fall. But anyway, hopefully everything stays on the table like it should. So here's what the booth looks like, guys. And I will check in with you guys as soon as I can. I don't know how that was so zoomed in, but anyway, as soon as the market starts, which is now. So we're here 9 to 3. So I will give you an update as soon as I can. It's a few minutes before 10 and I'll do my first check-in. We sold a $52 standing horse, a $10 mallard, a $15 chicken, and a $14 pink ghost. It is such a pretty day, but we're really right in the sun. And my booth is on this crazy little slope. So I'm holding on to this as I'm talking to you guys because it keeps wanting to flip over on me. So yeah, it's starting to pick up a little bit because they're doing a pumpkin picking thing today. But right now kids are playing on the playground equipment. But I think it's gonna turn out to be a pretty good day. So for the first hour, that's not that bad because I feel like for the first 30 minutes, nobody was here. So should be a good day, and I will check in with you guys as soon as I have more to update. You guys, I'm so excited. I just sold my Winnie the Dragon for $120. I sold Clifford for $15, and then I've had two families come through. And take advantage of the buy 3 get 1 free. And then I sold my Snoopy and a pumpkin for $30. So I can't remember what else off the top of my head, but I think that's pretty close. Maybe another chicken. Maybe not. But oh, a teacher appreciation bee. Did I tell you guys that already? Anyway, I'm still kind of like on a little high, I guess, from selling that dragon. I cannot believe the same people who bought the Clifford dog. So that was a lot of fun. In this event before, tents were here and on the same area where we are. But this year, or this fall season, they just have everybody in this area. And they've expanded all of this for parking instead, which I think is cool because that means more people can come. Maybe parking was the issue before, but I think it's really cool. There is a landing strip right over that barn, so every little bit airplanes keep coming down right over our heads, which is really crazy. Hopefully I can catch it for you guys to see, but it's really busy here. Tons of pumpkins over here, and then they have some all along the building there, and they're making pumpkin cider donuts and that's not right, pumpkin spice donuts and apple cider donuts. But it's so busy. And then my friend actually has that purple tent down there. She sells cakes, and I just had cake for breakfast, so yay. It was absolutely delicious. She's actually making our Thanksgiving cake. It's spice cake with salted caramel icing. And then she's gonna do apple filling for our cake, so I'm excited about that. So that booth right there, past the woman with the baby, that's crochet too, and she kind of got miffed that my booth and then this pretty booth right here is also crochet. She got mad and she put her wall up. So I'm like, okay, that was a little awkward. She was giving me some kind of side eye when I first started unloading my car, but I mean, I didn't pick my spot, so I can't help it. But anyway, just thought I would share that little fun thing. She didn't want to look at us apparently. Your favorite? There's which one? So I'm a sweaty mess because it ended up getting really, really hot here, but I wanted to talk with you guys before I sat down with the market recap. We ended up having, with those airplanes that I showed you guys earlier, they were coming in 2 and 3 at a time because it ended up being an air show, and I didn't know that they were doing that today. So between that, the landing strip is really just right here. I never knew that existed. Found out today though. So it was kind of cool to watch, but it made vlogging kind of impossible. And then the vendors next to me, they were also crocheters, super, super sweet. But they had about 5 or 6 people that they knew that showed up, and they just had a party over there. And so every time I would have a moment where it would be a downtime moment where I could catch up with you guys, they were just living their best life. It was a party over there. So yeah, I couldn't. And then other times we were just really busy, which I'm grateful for. So I feel like with everything that I documented today, I feel like I surpassed my last market. If I didn't, I'm gonna be very, very surprised. Like one update, I told you that my dragon sold, and it seemed like right after that, things were just going like crazy. I meant to do a before and after market, but I didn't feel like that was fair because I replenished. Am I turning here? Yes, I am. I'm sorry, I'm so turned around for a minute. I replenished all of those little bitty things so many times. Those were so popular. I'm telling y'all, if you don't do those for your market, you're missing out, because it was like $24, $24, $24. I feel like, I mean, that was the bestseller. Again, I know that without a shadow of a doubt, that was the bestseller, sorry. So I'm excited to see with the wrap up how that went. Both of my horses sold, and one of those is $70. I had $75, but it was a fellow vendor and I took $5 off of it because they gave me a discount when I bought a shirt for my daughter. So yeah, I will come back whenever I am feeling just a little bit better and hydrated. So I made, I think, $1,079 at my last market. So you tell me either higher or lower, or just throw out a random number and tell me what you think that I made. We are back with a market recap, and I hope that you put a total in the comments of what you think that my market total came to. I will be checking to see what y'all said. I'll be commenting, so make sure that you are participating and chatting with me in the comments. And I reformatted what I sold from the lowest price point to the highest price point instead of in the order that things were sold. To me, that really doesn't matter. Even when I'm listening to other people's recap, however they want to format telling us that information really doesn't matter to me. And I think going forward, this is what's going to work for me, because then I can see what price range is more popular, and that might help me with what I make going forward into my markets. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. This was the Bush and Vine Fall Festival. They had an air show going on, as you saw. They also had a big pumpkin patch, and they had pick your own flowers. They had a lot going on, which was really amazing. There was a big crowd that came in, a lot more parking than they've had in previous events, which I totally appreciate. The more people who can park and come in, the better your sales are gonna be. So my vendor fee is $35. And I hope, for the sake of their business, that they increase that. You may think I'm crazy, but there are 2 women that run this event at this farm, and it is very overwhelming for them. But I will say this worked out so well. We were all given time slots to come in and set up. That way people can move in and move out, move their car and all of that. And it just kind of worked so much better. Kudos to them for figuring out what worked for them, but still, I hope that they take a little bit more money. Even if they bumped it up to $40, $45, I would still pay that. Even on the slower market seasons like spring, where I only did about $320, I think. I would have to look that up again. Christmas of 2024, I did the same market, and it was 30 degrees that morning. It may have been in the 20s when we set up, but it did not get out of the 40s, and the wind was blowing and it was so cold. Everybody's nose were dripping. It was ridiculous, but I still ended up doing almost $600, which I thought was fantastic for it being that cold. Springtime, like I said, I did not do that great. I did around 320 maybe. It wasn't the best, but it was still good. When you factor in the vendor fee being $35, I really did pretty good. And I don't factor in my yarn because I buy yarn all the time, and some of my stuff that I've crocheted like I would have from the previous year. So I don't keep track of all of that. I price my stuff high enough that I'm getting my money back 3 to 4 times over. So I don't factor any of that in. I probably should, but there are a lot of people out there who do that you could watch to learn from how to price those items. So I'm not that person. I just love to do what I do, and I love to share it with you guys. So jumping in at my lowest price point, which is $1 for those little Yip Yips, I sold 2 of them for a grand total of $2. The next price point was $4, and I sold 1 dish scrubby. I have a little 2 for $6 bin. You guys probably saw it when I did the little booth walkthrough. I'm just trying to get rid of some stuff I've had a long time, little tiny things that have been squished and manhandled a lot. I just really want it gone. So I priced that at 2 for $6, and I sold 1 yellow gummy and 1 teeny tiny red octopus, and $6 is what that came to. I sold 1 $6 mini ghost in white, and I sold 2 $8 chicks out of my buy 3 get 1 free. They just wanted 2 for $16. And I sold 3 in separate transactions little dinos for a total of $24. I sold 1 opossum by himself for $8. Same thing for a koala and a mini black cat. Those were all each $8. So for my $10 price point, I sold a mallard, a green leggy frog, and a pink leggy frog. I sold my 2 for $10 keychains. I sold a star and a blue bee for a total of $10. For my $12 price point, I sold 2 mystery boxes for a total of $24. And for the $14 price point, I sold a black cat and a pumpkin that I've had for over a year. I sold 1 Agent P. Sorry, I'm not wearing glasses. So I sold 1 pink ghost and 1 white ghost, both in size medium, $14 each for a total of $28. I sold a sweater teddy in the color of brown for $14. And finally, in that $14 category, a blue octo. For the $15 category, I sold 1 Mabel chicken, 1 football, 1 Monster Pal, 1 Clifford, and 2 whales, which totaled $30. And then that little Monster Pal is just something that I freehanded, and I wish I could remember the name of the yarn. I want to say it's a baby yarn from Hobby Lobby, but it's these vibrant colors all together. Freehand of crocheting the arms first, and then the legs on to, doing the legs that you create the body in, and crocheting the arms in. And then I rounded off the head and put a pair of like cartoon safety eyes in, where the eyes were actually touching and they were kind of expressive. And then I did 2 like little alien antenna type things in them. It was super cute. I want to say it was candy. Some kind of candy was the name of that yarn. I'm going to look on the Hobby Lobby website and put it in here for you. It's really cute yarn, and I've made several of those with it, and every time I make one they sell. But I've had this guy for a long time, so I'm glad he's gone. Okay. The next price point is $18. I sold 1 possum, 1, oh wait a minute. No, I sold both of my chubby dinos for $18 each for a total of $36. And then for $20 price point, I sold 1 random green Ditty Dex that I forgot I had. It was my display one to show what was in those mystery eggs. I had it, and so I was like, let me just throw it out there to see if anybody wants it. And sure enough, it sold. My gray loaf cat in a turtle with a bow. And then for $22, I sold my shelf goose. Still have 1 left. I sold my black loaf cat. And then the next several are $24. So this is my buy 3, get 1 free category, basically, for a few minutes. There were a lot of them that sold that I really didn't write down, like the color of the cat, just because I was kind of swamped and I was by myself. So trying to do that, write everything down, and then as I was taking those sales, I would try to remember what was sold, and I'm like, okay, I know it was a cat, couldn't tell you which one. When I could write them down, I did. Otherwise, We'll just have to figure it out when I go back through my inventory. So the first one that sold was 2 dinos, a pig and a dog. The second one was 3 dogs and a dino. The third one was a dog, a koala, a dino, and a possum. The fourth one was a dino, koala, a dog, and a cat. Fifth one was a orange cat, a koala, and 2 dinos. Then we had a cow, koala, dino, and chick. And then we had a calico, a frog, a dino, and a koala. And then we had this one family who bought 2 sets of the buy 3 get 1 free for a total of $48, and I couldn't tell you what they had. They were all picking, and I just kept telling her, there was a mom with her kids, and I gave her a bag, and I was watching. She did put 8 in. She recounted them right in front of me, but there were other people waiting, and I was like, I have no idea. I can't remember what they had, but it's fine. So it was really cool. So we got 8. One family got 8, which was really cool. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 total transactions of the buy 3 get 1 free, which I think is fantastic. I sold my Little Chef Remy for $24, and then in my $30 price point, I sold Snoopy and a pumpkin. I sold my moose that I've had for over a year. I sold my watermelon cow that I've had for over a year. I'm so glad that thing is gone. Also, my large sea turtle sold for $30. I sold a mermaid for $30. And then in the $35 price point category, I sold my scarecrow that I've had since last year. Y'all, that thing is so cute. And I'll make that every year. I just love making it. It's so adorable. Then I sold my hippo with a tutu. For my $40 price point, I sold my sweater weather duck and my Frankenstein that I created, the pattern that I created. Next price point, which was $52, it was my standing horse, and I made it to look like a Precious Moments horse. The very next transaction, and I do remember this was back to back, was my larger horse, the one that was sitting, and that sold for $70. My highest price point item that I own right now sold for $120, and that was my giant Winnie the Dragon. I did that, and everyone with the color scheme that I picked said it looked like the Never-Ending Story dragon. Everyone wanted to pick it up and like hold it and squeeze it, and I'm thinking, please don't do that. Because I did use a lot of light colors on it, and then I did fur, but I did the gray and white fur. I think I did the wolf fur from Hobby Lobby. Then my last thing of the market was my $64 remaining balance for the 2 huskies and the baby jersey and the baby beanie that I shared in my last video. So that came to a grand total, I hope one of you guessed close, $1,427, and the crowd goes wild. And then you minus my vendor fee of $35, and that brings us to $1,397. This has been my biggest money-making market of this entire year. It has more than made up for the duds that I had all spring, and I was really starting to feel kind of defeated and kind of giving up a little bit. Not really giving up, but kind of losing that joy, because it just started off horrible. But I know that God works all things out for good, and everything's in His timing. And so this was beautiful to kind of see this happen. My husband and I have started praying before the market. So when I leave here and he doesn't go with me, we will pray together before I leave for a market, and then I listen to praise and worship music on the way to my markets and everything like that. And you know, I do have a grateful heart, because if you guys heard my testimony, you would see why that means so much. I'm trying not to choke up, but if you guys are interested in hearing my testimony, how I got into crocheting, and it's by the sheer grace of God that I can. It goes beyond learning how, and yeah, so like all of that glory and praise goes to Him. yeah. So if you want to hear that testimony, let me know, and I'll throw that in a video at a later date. But I am so grateful that you guys hung out with me to go to this market. I am totally blessed to have every one of you who have subscribed and are watching my videos. I appreciate and love you guys so much. Make sure that you are subscribed and tuning in to next Thursday's video, because I have a fun one, especially if you are a crocheter with a small business who goes to markets and everything for the upcoming Christmas season. You're gonna want to watch this video. It's one that I'm excited about, and like I said, I do need to get prepping for that right now so I can have that available and ready for you next Thursday. And I want to say that is October 30th, so right before we get into the Christmas market season. I want to have that out for you guys. So thank you again so much for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful and blessed day, and know that you are loved. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.